Welcome to the My Career, My Calling podcast, a voice of hope for people of faith in the marketplace. This podcast is brought to you by the Marketplace Missions Movement, a not-for-profit organization supporting Christians seeking to identify, develop, build, and expand their ministries and calling into the marketplace. The movement is seeking to empower, build up, and activate believers for authentic and impactful participation in sharing the message and love of Jesus Christ and demonstrating the principles of the kingdom of God in their workplaces and through their professions. Meet our moderator, Dr. Stephanie Fletcher-Larty, a well-rounded public health professional, researcher, author, strategic leadership advisor, gospel musician, and spiritual leader. Thank you for joining us for another episode of the My Career, My Calling podcast. Please stay tuned as we bring you another inspiring discussion to help build you up on your purpose-driven journey in the marketplace. Hello, and welcome to this another episode of the My Career, My Calling podcast. You have done well to be with us today, and I'm so delighted to be coming to you once again with an exciting episode. Now, I know most of you have said you really have been enjoying the guests we have been bringing to you on this platform. Now, as you know, we are here to encourage you along your journey, to identify your purpose, to build up yourself in your profession, and to get you going. Because you know what? We've been there. Myself, I've had my ups and downs in my career journey, and I believe that I am able to, if I'm able to overcome, then you are able to. So I want to encourage you to invite someone to join us because we've got a special guest with us today, and we will be talking about a very important topic that I know will be something that many of you will appreciate because you've either been there, you've had to deal with someone who's been through this situation, or you are currently undergoing this or experiencing this and you need to encourage someone. So, while we are getting ready, I just want to say once again, thank you for joining us. And I'd love to know where you are joining us from. I am joining you live from Sydney, Australia. And we are here for another episode of the My Career, My Calling podcast. Now, I know you're super excited, just as I am, to see what we're going to talk about today because it's a very important topic. We're going to be talking about, you know, following your dreams in spite of your challenges. And we have a special guest today who's going to be sharing her own journey with her higher education dreams and some of the very significant struggles that she has been through. So I don't want to take too much of your time, but as we get started, please drop in the chat. Let us know where you're joining us from because we're going to have a great time together today. So, without any further ado, I want to bring on stage a very important lady, Dr. Latoya Marshall-Brown. Help me welcome my very special guest today. Welcome, Dr. Latoya. It's great to have you here with me, and I'm delighted to be sharing this platform with
Thank you
you.
for having me, Larty.
Wow. Now, look, I am so excited about having
Thank
you
you.
on this
Thank you.
platform today
It's a
because
great privilege.
you're such an inspiration to myself and many others. Now, before we get into this, I want to just take this opportunity to congratulate you for finishing your doctorate, your first doctorate, which you graduated, I think, about 2 weeks ago. How amazing is that? Congratulations. Now, I'd love to ask you. So you just
Thank
graduated from
you.
one doctorate, and you are still doing a second one. What is your motivation for doing two doctorates? Let me like, can you share that with us? Can you hear me?
Why the internet affect?
Are you,
So I recently graduated from the Atlantic International University with a doctorate in educational leadership and administration. Um, the funny thing about the first doctorate, is that in 2021, I was at work one day and I just needed to go back to school. 20, and I don't know if my phone was reading my mind, but as soon as I went on my Facebook page, I saw this university, Atlantic University, offering a doctoral program to international students, and the costing the costing for the program was within my range, and so I decided to get more information. And within 24 hours, I thought it was too easy to be true, but within 24 hours, I was accepted in the university. And the rest is history,
wow.
because indicated to me that I should stop doing this program because it's not recognized by the Jamaica Constabulary Force. It's they will not pay any attention to it, and yada yada. He was just discouraging me to continue, and I was there, yielded to his words, and so I paused. And ironically, a week after pausing, here came a former lecturer who introduced me to the second university, and told me to come on board to do the second doctoral degree because the JCF was actually doing it. Then, in the middle of everything, I realized that a couple of my colleagues were graduating with the doctorate from AIU. So I was like, is it that the JCF only got recognized my doctorate, or is it that they don't recognize the AIU doctorate? I'm confused. Now I'm in Delaware State. Hopefully, I will defend before the end of the year, and so I will finish with these doctorates and ready to face whatever other challenge God puts in my way. I'm ready to impact the world. I'm ready to motivate others to come on board and do a doctorate. If your head is telling you to go, go. Follow your mind. Am I still?
That,
You're still with me?
that is so amazing. I think your connection is a little bit choppy, so it's lagging a little bit. But what I'm hearing you say is that
Dr.
you
Fletcher?
were working. Sorry. Can you hear me?
I don't know if it's from my end, but we are coming in very
Can you hear me?
choppy. Yes,
All
I can
right.
hear you, but it's not too
It's
clear.
very choppy. Okay, let me just do this. Can you still hear me? Can you still hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, great. All right. So what I heard you were saying was that you you were in the police force and you really wanted to take your career to the next level. So you enrolled into one doctorate, and then some of your superiors were discouraging you because they claimed that your organization didn't recognize that qualification. And so you enrolled into a new doctorate. And then while you started the new one, you realized that some of your colleagues were graduating with from the university with the same doctorate that you were pursuing. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
Right. And life is like that. And I really appreciate something you said about the fact that you were chasing after your dreams and you really wanted to take that right step in. You didn't allow them to discourage you. You thought that at that time, well, since this is not working out, this is I really want to do a doctorate, so I'm going to find one that works for me. And then you realize that you were actually going in the right direction initially.
Right. Yes. Yes.
Yeah. And I think that in itself is a whole testimony by itself. But I know that you didn't start up there. You didn't start off with this doctorate. You came up the ranks in the police force, and even that in itself was a great achievement. So I'd love for you to kind of share a little bit about your background with us. You know, coming up, how did I know you weren't born with a gold spoon in your mouth. So share a little bit about your background with us and how you ended up getting to this place. Just a short summary of where you started. Yeah.
Well, yes. I indeed was not born with a gold spoon. I was born with one. I don't know which one. I think maybe it was a wooden spoon because that spoon, I cut it up into pieces, lit a fire, and here it is that I had this spark and I just kept burning. Um,
Wow.
I came from a rural community in St. Mary, deep rural community that if a certain time catches you at night, you can't get a taxi to go home. And so I left that deep rural community when I was a baby and I went to live with my paternal grandparents. That is a whole different story. We would spend a whole different night doing this podcast about that journey to live with grandparents in St. Anne. But after moving to St. Anne, I came back in 20, 2002. I came back to St. Mary. to live with my mother. I I didn't grow with her mother, knowing my mother daily. I would occasionally see her on pictures, and then the first time I met my mother was when I got my common entrance,
Mm.
and that's when she came to visit at the house. I think I was about 10 or 11 at more likely 10 at that time. That was the first time I was actually meeting my mother. And my journey, growing up, my father my father would appear to do the necessary monetary aspects of life, but the relationship we did not have. He came, spent a couple hours, paid his dues, and he left. But when I came back to St. Mary in 2002, 2003, I started a relationship with both parents. They were not together, they are not together. But I started to live with my mother, and that was a short-lived journey.
Mhm.
Um, during that short-lived journey, my I got pregnant because I was 17 at the time, and I got pregnant. And my mother decided that, hey, you're not staying in my house. She found out I was pregnant on the Sunday, and on the Friday we were having a conversation that turned into an altercation. And my mother said, "Listen, by tomorrow morning you have to go. You cannot stay in my house, be pregnant." Now, being 17, a young girl just trying out a little boyfriend, and this happened. Here I thought that my world was ending. My father told me, "Listen, I want nothing to do with you." Um, I had to actually rely on my child's father. He said, "Okay, you can move in with me." He was actually 10 years older than I am, and so he he said, "Okay, let's live together." I was going to school. I was going to Hart at the time because my parents basically couldn't afford to send me to college, and so I got enrolled into Hart, and I got pregnant while going to Hart. The beauty about Hart is that when I got pregnant and I told my instructor that I was pregnant, he said, "It does not stop you from finishing the program. You're a top student in the program and you will stay in the program." And so I pushed. I pushed. There were days when um the motherly feeling would not allow you to be pushing, but I pushed as a teenager, going going through the stages. You're confused because there were times when I actually cried myself to sleep because I did not think within myself I was ready to live with a man. I I thought that getting pregnant was a huge, those regrets, and you know it became so much of a burden. Became so much of a burden. But the beauty about all this in my story is that on November 10, 2004, a beautiful young lady was born. And I can tell you, the day I saw her face was the day when everything changed. Every single thing changed. Because I looked at her and I said, whatever I need to do or I have to do to make her not go through all of this journey, all of this stress and strain I went through as a child, as a teenager. I made sure that I put things in place so that she would not need to go through all of this.
So
My
let me
child,
ask you something. Can I just ask you? Let me just quickly ask you something. So you are 17 years old, you're pregnant, and from what I've heard, you're a very intelligent young woman. You're bright, as we would say in Jamaica. Like you have a bright future in front of you. What was going through your mind when you figured out that you are pregnant when it comes to your career? How were you feeling at that time?
it was heartrending. Um, there were times that growing up, I was told that I would. My mother has 11 children, and you know, sometimes persons would tell you, "Oh, you're going to be like your mother. You're going to have all these kids." So at 17, because my mother had her first child at 17. So at 17, I thought that, hey, their their talk, whatever they were saying about me was actually going to come to reality. And that had a toll on me. Honestly, it had a toll on me because I always wanted to prove them wrong, prove all the naysayers wrong. And so when when I was shunned, quote unquote, by my very parents, who I can tell you now are my biggest supporters. When I was shunned, I remember it was after Akila was born that my father actually came around and said, "Listen, all right, this has happened already. Let us move past it. Let us go and finish school, um, and and just get what you have to get." But I can tell you though, it is natural as a young lady, as a teenager, having this frightening experience, carrying a child, not knowing where you're going to be, what you're going to be, all your dreams and aspirations appear to be going down the hill. It was heartrending, but everything, God was still smiling down on me.
That is amazing. And from what I've heard, it seems to me also that you had some kind of resilience inside of you, right? And there were some people who believed in you as well, because you mentioned that your teacher at heart encouraged you, that in spite of the fact that you fell pregnant, that she could see something in you. And I know, like, how important was that for you to know that there was someone like this figure, this authority figure, that believed in you? Like, can you just explain, like, maybe briefly, like, how important was that for you as a young woman?
Young women going through situations like I did would normally end up, well, a lot of times it would end up in them um, reaching to the point of suicide. And it is because they don't have the proper support system. And support system is very important in any aspect of your life. You need the proper support system. And having, even though I felt like I gave up on myself, there were persons who were still there. There were persons who still saw the purpose in me and always told me, "Don't give up. Uh, Pregnancy is not the end. just keep pushing, and you will achieve your ultimate goal. So it was, it is good. It is awesome to have your support system. I can remember um when I was supposed to go on work experience at Heart. I was sent to a specific hotel, and when I got to the hotel that Monday morning, um the manager looked at me and said to me, "Oh, I'm sorry, we cannot facilitate you doing your work experience." There were other persons from my class who were there doing work experience, but they could not facilitate me. They said I had to go back to the institution for them to place me in a different institution at the time. And when I spoke with my facilitator, she said it is because they had called the college to say, the institution to say that it is because I was pregnant why they could not facilitate me. However, they tried to place me at the Ministry of Labor and Social Security, and that was the best place ever. I met some awesome people who are still here cheering me on, to include yourself, Dr. Fletcher. Um, Miss Pamela Scott, she gave me the opportunity to do my work experience there so I could finish my studies at Heart. And I must say, I have no hesitation in, in just giving a shout out to you guys. Now I'm thinking about it, I'm kind of getting emotional, to see where the support system I had in people like you and Miss Scott. I remember my Miss Scott called me in the office one day and she said to me, I realize that you are dressed a specific way coming to work. Um, I know you're pregnant and you know. However, I don't think that the the tops that you wear to work are fitting the pregnancy. And I said, I confided in her. I told her, I cannot afford to buy myself maternity clothes. And so what I was getting from my spouse was just the bare minimum to go to school to get things done. And she said to me, if I have maternity blouse that can fit you, will you take it? And I said, sure. And then the next day she brought me about 3 or 4 blouses to wear. She said the pants is okay, the bottoms you're wearing is okay, but the tops don't look so okay. So I selected some and they were looking like brand new. And I accepted them. I rotated them. I came to work looking fine. And the beauty about it, that persons in the office did not know that was that she was the one who brought me those things. And then one day she said to me, um, "You're advancing your pregnancy. What's the preparation for the baby?" I said, "I haven't gotten any baby clothes yet." And then you came to visit one day with a whole bag of baby clothes. And that was the first set of baby clothes I had for this pregnancy. Between yourself and Miss Scott, you were just bringing in stuff. I when I had baby, I did not purchase anything. I had diapers. I don't know if you remember all of that, Dr. Fletcher. I had everything for this child, courtesy of my support system. I was not alone. I don't know what you guys saw in me, but you guys were just there supporting. Even after even after I left Ministry of Labor, Ms. Scott would call, you would pop up, the support system is awesome. So So any young girl going through teenage pregnancy, don't give up hope. Once you have a strong support system, you will achieve your goals. Support system is awesome. And that's the key thing to ensuring that you keep afloat, you keep your head going. The main thing is your support system.
That's amazing. And I certainly agree with you that it's so important to have that support system in anything, not just through those types of challenges, because some people, their issue is not necessarily pregnancy, it could be something else. Some people might be having financial struggles, they might be having, it could be domestic violence, or they don't have somewhere to stay. Just so many different types of challenges. And I've come to realize that, being there for someone really doesn't cost us anything, because I feel like, although I wasn't in the same situation like you, there were people who threw me a lifeline as a teenager from a very poor background. And in some ways, I feel like I kind of related with you. I connected with you because, of your age. I saw this other girl, this young woman that was doing something, because for some people they would have dropped out, or they would have had an abortion, or just throw their hands up in the air and said, well, this is what happened to me. And then, but for me, I think one of the things that really struck me was the fact that you weren't just staying home, you were showing up for your appointment. And even those days when you were nauseous and the pregnancy itself was having its physical toll, you would show up. And I think that's a really important lesson for people who are going through whatever, you know, that if you continue to show up, then it shows other people that if you are trying, and it's a principle, I think, that works. If you are making an effort, it's like God has already put a system around you. The whole universe is now saying, well, if she's showing up, then we're going to do our part. And I think that is so important. But I know your journey didn't end there, right? You went into the police force, and I'm really interested about that turning point. What was your motivation for going into the police force? Or, when did that what was the moment when, you decided you were going to go into the police force?
So I applied for the JCF in 2003. Um, Actually, my cousin, he's retired now, Inspector Pinnock, he came to the house one Sunday, and I engaged him in a conversation, and he said to me, I can take you to go and do the testing on Otter Bay. I said, when? He says, if you get ready tomorrow morning, I will just take you. If you're ready, I'll take you. So he took me to Otter Bay that morning. I went, I did the test, I was successful, and I was doing assessments, and then um here came the baby. I gave up. Actually, during the pregnancy, I was called, and I told them at the time I could not participate in training because I was pregnant, and they told me to um, when the child reaches 2 years old, I'm to call them back. I said okay. I was going through my struggles where we at this time my child's father was doing his part. I was doing my little part because I must tell you, the funny thing about it is that 2 months after my child was born, I went to seek a job. And I went to the same hotel that refused me when I was pregnant. I went to that hotel to get a job, and they hired me. They hired me as an entertainment coordinator. And I was there working for a while. I think it was about 10 months I worked there for, because I was actually filling in for someone who was on on maternity leave, and then I filled in for someone else who went off on another leave, and so I was just being a filler. So I was there for about 10 months, and then I started to hop from jobs to jobs to jobs. And one day I came across a at the time she was a constable. I must pay homage to the people who helped me along my journey. She's now Deputy Superintendent Maggie Bond Scott. I saw her at the hotel, and she was there. I'm not remembering exactly why she was there, but I had a dialogue with her in regards to um, coming into the JCF. She made a call for me, and then her call, I got on a call, and I remember the Friday when they told me to come in for the interview. I had no money to go and do the interview, to go to Spanish Town to do the interview. And she brought me to Spanish Town to go and do the interview. She had some things to do in Kingston, and then when she was finished, she brought me back to St. Mary. And I can tell you, she has been an inspiration through my JCF journey. She has the funny things that we have done. Sometimes, we would persons would say, but she's at a higher rank, and I said, we don't see the rank, we see friendship, we see connection. But I can say that my journey in the JCF is was made from connections from my cousin, connections from Mrs. Maggie Scott. When even my first phase in training, I gave up. I gave up because um my spouse did not sanction me joining the JCF. And so it was that mental journey, that mental strain. I I failed my first stage exam, and I said, you know what? He told me that, listen, you're the JCF is the police force is not cut for you. Don't go, don't do this. And so I was believing in him saying that I'm not cut for it, and decided to come home. And um, the training officer called all the persons who had failed the first stage exam and said, nobody is going home. For those who think that they have failed and is going home, I don't know how she heard or what she heard, but she said, and her exact words, nobody is going home. There will be a resit exam, and nobody who failed the exam will be permitted to leave the compound. They will stay and study, and they will have to redo the exam. My support system again, in the form of um, two of my major colleagues, one who has passed, may her soul rest in peace. But for the time up until the exam, these two girls came to my dorm room. We slept on a little bed together. Who cannot sleep on the bed slept on the floor. And I was being drilled. And I was being drilled. And for days, up to the time of the resit exam, I was being drilled. I can tell you, I was the top person in the resit. I got the top grade for the resit because of my support system. I can't stop talking about support system. Everywhere I go, I get this support system. When I when I left training, I went to Kingston to work, and I spent about 2 years in Kingston. Then I came home to Saint Mary because at that time I got married, and my husband was my spouse, my child's father was a bit still edgy about the JCF, and so he made representation for me to come home, which I did. And I don't know if being home made the situation better or made it worse, because there were the relationship did not change. There was just some strange thing about being in the JCF. For him, the JCF was not up to par for him.
But
But
on that note,
well,
I wanted to ask though about the importance of having disposal support though to move forward in just generally, not just for the JCF, but even to where you are now. Like, how important is it to have, because from your story, I can see that you've had destiny helpers along the way. Destiny helpers have been strategically positioned along the way from day one. Your teacher at Heart Academy, then the people like Miss Scott at the National Security Office, and so on. It's like what I can see is a pattern that every step of your life that someone has been strategically positioned in the right place at the right time. But I know that sometimes, our spouses can make or break us as well. Even though externally we have all these destiny helpers, you know, without going into your personal, like private details, how would you say to other people out there who are, they're getting the external support? How important is it to have the person, that intimate partner support as well to achieve these dreams?
intimate partner support is very important. Um, if it is that you are in a relationship that you are trying to achieve one goal, looking at the greater good of this goal, looking at how we can build the relationship, build the family, and here it is that you take one step forward to achieve the goal, and the more you talk about getting this goal done, is the more disposal is the partner is saying to you it cannot be done. And so you when you have a spouse that is always cheering you on, go do it, continue doing it, even if the spouse is not um on the same wavelength or on the same level, but is able to cheer you on and able to push you from even a distant, even a word of encouragement, then you can move mountains. You can climb Mount Everest once you have that intimate partner um push, that intimate partner drive. You can achieve all that you need to achieve. And that is very important in any relationship. Your spouse has to be on the same wavelength. Your spouse should be your number one motivator in everything you do. Without that, everything you're trying to achieve becomes a burden.
Yeah. Let's shift gears a little bit. So you've had a very purposeful journey. Strategically positioned as a teenager, you got pregnant. Along the way, though, unlike many people who have decided to terminate their pregnancy prematurely, given up. Some people have carried the child, but they have just forgotten about their career. You have continued along your career journey. You actually didn't even take a break. You just kept going. You had the baby, you weaned the baby, and you were back into the workforce, which is remarkable. But after 17 years in the Jamaica Constabulary Force, you have actually changed career. You actually made a shift, and you're still very young. No, this show is about my career, my calling. And some of the people who are watching this, they are in that same space. Some people feel a little bit stuck in their job. Some people are feeling like they have reached their full potential. There's nowhere else to go. And some people just feel like God is calling them to something new, something different, or they want to level up. Now, really would love to hear, you know, you changed professions. You know, what was that thing that was a main driving force? What inspired you to change profession? What is the main thing that inspired you after 17 years to change profession?
You came in a bit choppy a while ago, so
Okay, let me go again. So
I
I'm
wasn't
talking
hearing
about
much of
your
what you're saying, but
your
I heard
career
you.
change. What motivated you
Uh-huh.
to change career?
Go again, Doc. I'm not hearing you so clearly. That information didn't come in clearly.
Yeah, what motivated you to change career at this stage in your life?
Okay, so in 2016, in education and training, and I went to do teaching practice, practicum, some might know it as, at Heart. And when I went to Heart, the same institution that I went to as a younger person, um, I was there and they came to do my assessment. And the director principal at the time, Dr. Spencer, when Dr. Spencer came in, walked into the practicum exam where I was being assessed, he stood there for a while and he was looking at me. After the assessor left, I was about to leave and he said to me, I need to speak to you in my office. No, this was the first time I was having dialogue with Dr. Spencer. I saw him on the compound. Um, I had no need to speak with him. I was assigned a supervisor, so I was just working along with my supervisor. And Dr. Spencer said to me, um, what other than going to school, what do you do? So I said to him, I'm a police officer. And he braced himself back in the chair and he said, where do you work? I said, I work in Port Maria. He says, okay, this is perfect. And he went on his phone and he called someone. And the person said, oh, I'm on my way to Port Maria. Tell her not to go. Now I'm standing there trying to figure out what was happening. When Dr. Spencer came off the phone, he said, someone is coming to see you, so you can't leave. Are you in a rush? I said, no, Dr. Spencer, I'm not in a rush, but I will wait. When the person came, they said to me, I need you to complete this form. When you complete this form, I need you this evening to email me your resume and all your certificates, and we will take it from there. I was offered a part time instructor position then and there with Heart. it was the first I was actually going into um, teaching and training outside of the JCF. I would always be asked to come and speak to probationers, trainee constables, but to be paid outside of the JCF to teach. And Dr. Spencer said to me, I was very impressed with your practicum. I thought you were a trained teacher, and your delivery and how you knew your material and the whole works. I had to give you I have an opening for a part-time instructor. I had to give it to you. And I was I was over the moon, because here it is that I needed a second income, because within my mind I always wanted a second income. My JCF salary was managing mortgage and managing a lot of stuff. And so I started to find love in the classroom. I found love in reaching out um, to students, even not just an instructional level, but there was a time that I class had broke for lunch, and I saw a student still sitting in the classroom, and I said to her, "Why are you not going for lunch?" And she said to me, I'm not really hungry." So I said, "Okay, no problem." The next time the next time we had class again, I saw the same thing. So I said to her, um, "Are you feeling well?" And she said, "Yes, miss, I am good." I said, "But I don't see you eating anything. I don't see, and you cannot learn on an empty stomach." And she said, "Miss, I'm okay." And I said to her, I think I actually picked up that it is not a matter of her not being hungry, but it was a matter of her not being able to find lunch. And so I said to her cunningly, um, "I'm going to ask you a big favor. Can you grant me the favor?" And she said, "Yes, miss." I said, "You eat KFC?" She said, "Yes, miss, I eat KFC." I said, "All right, here what? I'm going to give you my card." No, I mean, you're trusting a student with your card. "I'm going to give you my card. I want you to buy some hot wings for me. And I want you to buy anything that you want from KFC. You can buy it for yourself on the card." And I gave her my PIN number. She went, she bought the food, she came back, she sat at the back and she ate. And from that day till now, this young lady went on work and travel. And by the time she landed, she didn't even get to her house. She came to my house, and she said, I mean, every day you can look for a message from her. "Good morning, miss. Good morning, my second mother." All those things. "Have a wonderful day. Have a beautiful day. Be blessed." I remember when I was sick with COVID, she called me and she said, "Do you want me to come down to your house and to help to do anything? You want me to come and clean? You want me to do anything?" I mean, just that one act. And I can speak of more incidents with students who I have helped. There are persons who have enrolled in the JSF just because their instructor was a police, and they loved their instructor so much. Even this morning, one of them texted me and she said, um, I want to enroll in a specific program, but what do you think?" And she's a serving member. And she told me the only reason why I'm on the JSF was because of you and who you are. When she left training, she asked me, "Can I come back to St. Mary and work with you?" I told her it was my call to make. but there are persons who I have taught, um, who up to this day they say I'm their second mother, because whatever I have done, knowingly or unknowingly, that would have influenced them or impacted their lives positively.
So what you are seeing is that in the same way you experience life, which is kind of like my story as well. You know, you've been blessed by so many people along your journey. You are being that destiny helper for other people now. Yeah. No, how easy was it for you to make that transition out of the
Yes,
force?
yes, and I think that is a calling. That's a call.
Yeah.
Oh, easy.
Yeah.
Um, I just felt like I needed to do more, and I just got up one day and said, "Okay, listen, I've done enough at the JCF level. Let me go out into the world and to impact more persons." I have been impacting persons in JCF, but I still wanted to do more. I felt like there was just this absent feeling that I am not fulfilling all that God has desired of me to do, and so I decided that, hey, just let me get up and go and
Sorry
go
about
where
that. I
God
think
leads.
I think we lost our connection a little bit for a moment. Yeah, you said you just made a decision one day and just got up. Yeah.
Yes, got up and decided to go where God leads.
So, for those who are in that same place, there might be some people who are feeling like it's time to make a change. They've been kind of feeling a little bit like I've done everything that I need to do here. Do you have some encouragement for them?
Yes, just keep pushing. Just keep finding your, just keep that eye. Just keep put on blinkers, because I can tell you, along my journey there were distractions. There were distractors. Um I want to backtrack a little when you speak about spousal support system. You know, after after my first husband died, God sent this um blessing in disguise. I keep I keep always saying he's a blessing in disguise, because even when he would see me on the street and he would say, "Hi, Miss Brown," and I was like, "Why is this guy calling me Miss Brown?" I was like, "Sir, my name is not Brown." And he said, "Yes, your name is Miss Brown." And I was at work one Sunday evening. We had an event, and the MC announced my phone number over the mic to reach out to me to get some things done. And I mean, this guy has been asking for my number for the longest time, and here came the MC, just blurt out the number. And that Sunday evening, he called me and he said, "I want to thank," and he mentioned the MC's name, for, 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 for giving me this opportunity to talk to this beautiful lady. And I'm like, "Sir, did you call for any assistance to deal with any matter? Or is it that you're calling to find a girl or something? I'm not interested." And I can tell you, that guy was persistent. He was persistent until he eventually became my husband. Support system, I get that. I used to when I was doing my postgraduate diploma, I had to travel all the way to Montego Bay for school. He would get up early in the morning to take me, close his business place all day on a Saturday, and everybody knows a Saturday is the most busiest part. And he would close his business place on a Saturday to take me all the way to Montego Bay. I get my breakfast, get my lunch, get my dinner, drive me all the way back to St. Mary. And there were times that I had court classes on a Saturday and on a Sunday, and he would do it all over again. When I started my master's in Kingston, he did the same thing. Until one day he said, "Listen, I can't do it every day. So what I'll do, let us get a car and you drive yourself." So the support system has been my now support system. Once I say I want to do this, he is there. He is pushing. And I really appreciate that support system. Thumbs up to Mr. Brown.
That's so wonderful. That is so wonderful. And if Mr. Brown is listening, Mr. Brown, we celebrate you for allowing your wife to be what God has intended her to be and for being her greatest cheerleader. I know that many times, especially as women, our spouses can become the biggest hindrances in our way. And sometimes sometimes they support us, but we don't recognize it. So if my husband is online watching as well, I want to say big thumbs up to Mr. Larty for allowing me to do some of the things I do. The late nights and the overseas trips and so on. It doesn't happen unless your spouse give you that room. Yeah. And sometimes they can't do anything. Like you're studying, they don't have a clue what you're doing. But just the space for you to even do that, to study without them, poking you in the side and dragging your clothes and the stuff that men do. Yeah. Or
Yes.
or do so we really celebrate those husbands who are out there who are allowing their women to do what God has called them to do, to excel. And sometimes, especially for those men who don't have the higher education that the women have, it can be quite intimidating for some of them. So if you're a man and you're watching this today, I want to thank you for even stopping by, but also to encourage you to continue to support your female partner. If you're not yet supporting, there's great value in supporting your woman to become the best that God has made her to be. It's a great, great honor. And she is your crown jewel. So if your wife do well, everybody will thank you for it because without you, she cannot do it. Yeah. But as we wind it up, as we come down, so we've talked about a few things today. We've talked about, your journey starting out as a young woman, a teenager who got pregnant just as she was about to enter into her educational life. She, as you were about to, you finish high school and are just about to start, get a career. Pregnancy showed up, but you didn't let this stop you. Then later on, you had some destiny helpers strategically positioned along your pathway, and you entered into the constabulary force in Jamaica. And after 17 plus years, you decided that you started to see another part of you. Another part of you began to show forth and show up in a very positive and a profound way, that really God has called you to be a teacher. And there's one thing that I teach in my courses, and it's about transferable skills. I have a whole course that I teach on that. And what I see here coming out is that you were able to identify these skills. You were probably doing some coaching and support system for young people entering the force, but in fact those were some powerful skills you already had. And the moment you stepped into an environment, it was a different field, but people in that environment recognized that you were great at these skills. I'd love for you to take just 1 minute before I ask you my last question. just 1 minute to share how do you see that, in terms of your ability to take your skills that you have gained in your experience in the constabulary force into the classroom? What would you say to those people who are thinking of making that transition? What would be your encouragement to them today?
Go ahead. If you want to transition, grab the bull by the horn. Always remember to pray about any situation. Ask God for proper guidance. Ask God for um, His lead in whatever you're doing. Because here it is that, you know, I I was comfortable in an organization 17 17 years and a couple of months, and God just told me it's time to move. And even when I submitted my resignation, there were persons who were like, but you're poised for greatness in the JSF, why leave now? We can offer you certain promotions. We are creating programs just to facilitate you. Why are you going? But God had a specific calling on my life, and so I decided just to step out and go. But for those who want to transition, don't don't sit and feel comfortable. Transition, move, explore new avenues. Maybe when you go into something new, then you realize that, hey, this was actually my true calling and not what I spent 20 odd years doing, 17 odd years doing. So if you want to move, if you want to transition into something new, go ahead. Grab the bull by the horn, approach it gracefully, approach it with God.
Wow, that's so powerful. That's so powerful. And look, I know I said it when there were gonna be one last one, but something you said just triggered something. Because as you know, I'm a life coach, and I coach people in their career as well. And one of the things you just said was about the detractors. That sometimes when you are ready to make a move, then people start to tell you about all the wonderful things that you didn't even experience all this time you were there. Nobody. How important is it for you to be aware of that, and how do you respond to the detractors?
Everybody responds to things differently. For me and detractors, I use them as stepping stones. I use them as a motivation factor. If you tell me I can't, that is when I can, and I will. Um, Detractors, everything in life has its benefits. Always look at things positively. If you get up tomorrow to go to work and your car breaks down, look at the positive of that you shouldn't have gone to work today, because maybe you would have had an accident. Maybe you would have gone into work feeling all grumpy after fixing the car, and you had some altercation with your supervisor and it might have turned out worse. Always look at the positive outcomes. I am an optimist, and I always look at the glass half full, and always looking at opportunities to pour more liquid in the glass so that the glass can be to its 100% full. So with detractors and distractions, you will listen. Some of them you cannot avoid. You will try to avoid, but you will listen, decipher what is important and what is not, and just keep moving. Focus on your goal. It was earlier on today that I was talking to a former colleague, and she said to me, although you're young, you have been one of my greatest motivation, because when she was about to retire after 40 something years, that's when she decided to to start a bachelor's program, and there were persons who were telling her, but you're going home, why do you need to be going to school? You cannot do this. You have not been in a classroom since the 1970s. Why are you doing this now? And I remember one day she called me and she was like, Marshall, I can't do this program again. I can't be bothered, because I was talking to X person, and she said that this program is too intense for me. And I was like, please, what do you think? What I want you to do when you go into the classroom, you're going to sit at the front of the class. You will not listen to what is happening behind you. You will stay focused on what is ahead. Stay focused. And that Sunday when she went to class and she was coming back through the junction, she called me and she's like, I don't know what your age and your maturity are in two different categories. But what you told me to do worked. And we were laughing about it just this morning. So when you have detractors coming in your way, block them out. If you cannot block them out, you try to do the avoiding. And if you can't avoid, you do the sieving. Take what is important and throw away what is not.
Wonderful. That's powerful advice. Yeah. If you can't avoid them, sieve them. Yeah. Because sometimes that's just it. And it's important for us to understand that. And look, we can't close without you giving some encouragement to anyone out there who started out maybe on a little bit of a rocky foot. Could be teenage pregnancy, could be something else, could be illness, could be some people are it's chronic disease, or whatever it is that is their thing that holds them back. What encouragement do you have for them after such an amazing career, such an amazing achievement? And I cannot say that enough. I'm so proud of your achievements and to see how much you have accomplished because you've allowed yourself to be supported, to be guided. Give us some final words. What would you say to those who might find themselves in a situation where they feel like they can't go on, or the situation feels overwhelming? Please give us your final words.
No matter what the storm cloud is, once you put God in the vessel, you can smile at the storm. There is not 1 or 2 days that will appear to be the same. One day you might have something smooth sailing, the other day might be rough and rugged. What you need to do is to keep focused. If you had a goal in mind, try to navigate, even in the unbearable, unforeseeable circumstances, you are just going to keep navigating. Somebody said to me that I would always use the bob and weave method to achieve my goals, meaning that I will be bobbing from or dodging from all the naysayers and the negativity, and continue moving, just navigating yourself through all the trials, all the tribulations. But most importantly, I encourage persons that if you're going through any situation, find a strong support system. Find someone, whether you're in church, someone in the community, some upstanding person that will be your strong support system. Be that shoulder that you might need to cry on. And what I loved about my support systems is that um during my various phases they would slap me with the reality to say, listen, this is happening to you, but you will not stay down. I remember the Friday evening when I came from the hospital with Akila, and when I got to the house, I saw my father and my stepmother, and my father took me aside and he said, "You will not stop school. No, you have not stopped school, and you will not stop school, and this will not strain our relationship. Keep pushing, keep doing what you have to do." And every journey, every step of my journey, my father is there, has been there. We talk every day. If we don't talk every day, it feels like um, a day is not complete. But find strong support system, guys. Find someone that can continue to motivate you, continue to push you, right? And I must wrap up by saying this, that in everything you do, put God first. Every move you make, put God first. Pray about it. You don't have to go out in the roadways and the walkways to shout and to pray and to give that long intercessory prayer, and just God sees and knows everything. You get up in the morning, you're about to face a day, just say thank you, God, for this beautiful day. God sees your heart, God knows everything. Trust God, and He will light the pathway for you.
Wow, what an amazing way to end this time with this beautiful woman, Dr. Latoya Marshall-Brown. I cannot tell you how amazed, how encouraged, how proud I am just to be having this conversation with you. I'm particularly proud because I was there at the beginning of your journey, and I am here to see where God has brought you. I am super, super proud of you. If I haven't told you enough, I'm telling you today again. I am so proud of how you've allowed God to mold you and you've followed Him carefully through your career. And I know there's so much greater for you. I know God has so much more in store for you. And I know that from what you've already achieved, that a lot of other people, their lives will be impacted because they encountered you. You have such great wisdom, and you are going to be a trailblazer for so many more young people. And I just want to say thank you so much for sharing your story with us today, and and really encourage you that as you continue, you know I really want to encourage you to write a book, because your story is so powerful and so amazing. You have accomplished so much at such a young age and through great tribulation. And I believe it is those who overcome. You know, the victory is sweeter when the battle is hot. So I salute you and I celebrate you, sister. I really salute you and celebrate your achievements today. Um, I was tempted to ask you to probably give a little shout out to my coaching program as well. Not sure if you have another 1 minute or so, but I know that is something that you value very much. What would you say about coaching? For people who, I know you've mentioned that people should get cheerleaders along the way. Do you have a few words you could share about the coaching program?
Yes. I must say, this coaching program, my career, my calling coaching program. Um, my first session with the coaching program, I've only done one session, and I didn't think it was a career coaching program. It was more like a getting to know me me getting to know me, there were things that were pulled out of me based on some questions that were asked. And I think for those who can or who find it hard to achieve their goal, that they can get professional help. Yes. You have a wonderful program going, ma'am, and I really like it. I really appreciate it. And I encourage a lot of the listeners, a lot of the followers to come on board and to be a part of the program. Get help. You cannot do it alone. So this program, I pray God continue to bless this program because you have been doing well, ma'am. You have been changing lives, and I really appreciate it. Big up to your career coaching program, ma'am.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. Our special guest today has been Dr. Latoya Marshall-Brown, a young woman who has overcome many great challenges and has had a very successful career. And that's what we are here for, to show you that in spite of your own struggles, in spite of the challenges, whatever lemons and bitter situation that life may throw at you, there is hope because other people before you have done it. And if they've done it, then you too can do it. She has overcome so many struggles, getting pregnant as a teenager, navigating through life and personal loss and so many different things that a lot of people experience in life. But hitherto has the Lord kept her. She has been able to transform all these situations and use them as stepping stones to take herself to the next level. Not only did she do that, she also acknowledged some important people along the way that are called destiny helpers. People who God has strategically positioned along your journey to help you in the times and the seasons when you need that help. But she didn't just acknowledge them, she accepted help and took advantage of the help that God offered to her to get from one place to the other. And here she is today. She's finished one doctorate and she's almost completing her second doctorate. If she's done it, it means you can do it too. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us today on this other episode of My Career, My Calling, where we are helping you to achieve your dreams one dream at a time. Remember, as Dr. Marshall-Brown said, we have our career coaching program. It's up and running. If you are struggling in your own journey and you need someone to help you, please reach out to us. We offer a free strategy session for anyone who wants to see if this is a right fit for them. Please reach out to me at stephjewelsmusic@gmail.com and we'll be sure to arrange that for you where we can give you uh, a no commitment session to see whether our coaching program is right for you. There's no commitment from you. It is available for free for you to just have a session just to see whether this is right for you. But until next time, I'd love to see you on another episode tomorrow at 6 p.m. Jamaica time, 9 a.m. Australia time, and 7 a.m. Hong Kong time. We will be back here with another live presentation. And for tomorrow, we have one of our special authors. Tomorrow, we launch the virtual book tour, and we will be kicking off with our very first author, Alicia Anderson. She's going to share her journey with HIV diagnosis and how, by the grace of God, she's made it thus far. Thank you so much once again for joining me and my guest, Dr. Latoya Marshall-Brown. Until tomorrow or until you next join us, thank you. I'm Dr. Stephanie Fletcher-Lati. And until I see you again, stay well and stay blessed. It's bye-bye for now.